What happens when 30 women taken against their will begin to see their captivity not as an end, but as the beginning of a choice that could change their lives forever? Thank you so much for watching and for all your comments. Let me know at the end if you liked the story and where you're watching from and why you're following this. The scorching Texas sun beat down on the small settlement of Willow Creek in the summer of 1865. The Civil War had just ended, and pioneers were slowly rebuilding their lives in the harsh frontier lands. Among them was Eleanor Bishop, a 25-year-old widow who ran the general store left by her late husband. "More flour, Mrs. Bishop," said Martha Wilson, a plump woman with kind eyes. "The town meeting's tonight, and I'm baking enough bread to feed half the county." Eleanor smiled as she measured the flour. "You're always thinking of others, Martha. That's why everyone in Willow Creek adores you." The bell above the door jingled as Sheriff Tom Parker entered, his weathered face etched with worry lines. "Ladies," he nodded, removing his hat. "Eleanor, might I have a word?" Eleanor excused herself and followed the sheriff to a quiet corner. "There's been more Comanche movement to the north," he said in a hushed tone. "Scouts spotted a large war party led by Chief Running Wolf himself." Eleanor's throat tightened. Running Wolf was known throughout the territory, a formidable warrior whose name alone struck fear into settlers' hearts. Yet strangely, tales of his intelligence, fairness, and striking appearance were equally legendary. "Any attacks?" she asked. "Not yet, but something's brewing. They've been observing settlements. I've called the meeting tonight to discuss increasing our defenses." After the sheriff left, Eleanor couldn't shake her unease. As the day wore on, more women visited her store, each sharing snippets of news and worry. By sunset, nearly every woman in Willow Creek had gathered in the meeting hall, 30 in all, ranging from young maidens to mature widows. Most, like Eleanor and many frontier women, carried extra weight, a sign of prosperity and survival in harsh lands where food could be scarce. Sheriff Parker addressed the room. "Ladies and gentlemen, our scouts report increased Comanche activity. We're strengthening our defenses, but I urge everyone to remain vigilant." As the meeting disbanded, Eleanor walked home with her friends under a blanket of stars, unaware of the eyes watching from the darkness. In the pre-dawn hours, Eleanor woke to screams. Smoke filled her nostrils as she grabbed her rifle and rushed outside. Warriors on horseback thundered through town, setting buildings ablaze and rounding up women. "Eleanor, run!" shouted Martha as two warriors seized her. Before Eleanor could raise her rifle, something struck her head from behind. The world spun, then faded to black. When she awoke, Eleanor found herself on horseback, bound and gagged. Around her, other women from Willow Creek shared the same fate. Their captors, Comanche warriors, rode silently across the vast prairie. Leading them was a man whose presence commanded respect, taller than the others, with broad shoulders and piercing eyes. Running Wolf. For days they traveled, pushing deeper into Comanche territory. The women, though terrified, were treated surprisingly well, fed, given water, and allowed rest. On the 7th day, they arrived at a vast encampment nestled in a hidden valley. As they were led into the village, Eleanor noticed curious glances from Comanche women and children. The captives were brought to a large lodge where an elderly woman waited. The warriors removed their bindings before departing. "I am Singing Bird," the woman said in broken English. "Chief Running Wolf brings you here not as slaves, but as potential wives." Gasps and cries erupted among the women. "Silence," Singing Bird commanded. "Our tribe faces hardship. Many women died from white man's disease. Chief Running Wolf seeks strong women for our future. You will stay 1 moon cycle. Learn our ways. At end, Chief will choose one as wife. Others may return to your people or stay, if you wish." Eleanor stepped forward. "And if none of us wishes to be chosen?" Singing Bird's eyes narrowed. "Chief does not force, but see him before you decide." As if summoned by her words, the lodge entrance parted, and Running Wolf entered. In the firelight, Eleanor finally saw him clearly, his chiseled features, intelligent eyes, and powerful frame. Despite herself, she felt her heart quicken. "You are guests of Comanche," he said in perfect English, surprising them all. "Learn our ways. After 1 moon, I choose one wife. Choose wisely, as I will." With that, he turned and left, leaving 30 bewildered women staring after him. Martha whispered to Eleanor, "Did you see him? I never imagined." Eleanor nodded, unable to articulate the confusion of emotions within her. They came as captives, but something in Running Wolf's eyes suggested this ordeal might lead to an unexpected destiny for them all. Dawn broke over the Comanche encampment, painting the sky in hues of gold and crimson. Eleanor sat outside the women's lodge, watching the village come to life. 3 days had passed since their arrival, and the initial terror had given way to a wary curiosity. "It's nothing like what we were told," whispered Martha, joining Eleanor. "They're not savages, they're people. Different, but people." Eleanor nodded. "The stories we heard back home seem designed to make us fear them." "Speaking of fear," Martha said, lowering her voice, "have you noticed how some of our ladies are looking at the chief?" Indeed, Eleanor had noticed. Several women who had initially wept with fear now stole glances at Running Wolf whenever he passed. His commanding presence, combined with his unexpected courtesy toward them, had sparked something unexpected. "Josephine was asking Singing Bird about Comanche marriage customs last night," Martha continued, her plump cheeks dimpling with a suppressed smile. "She wouldn't be the only one interested," Eleanor admitted. Their conversation was interrupted when Singing Bird approached, gesturing for all women to gather. "Today you begin to learn Comanche ways," she announced. "Some will help with cooking, others with tanning hides, some with gathering plants. Chief wants you to understand our life." The women were divided into groups. Eleanor found herself assigned to work with 3 others under the guidance of Morning Flower, a young Comanche woman who spoke some English. As they collected medicinal plants in a nearby meadow, Morning Flower explained their properties. "This one stops bleeding. This for fever. This helps mother in childbirth." "Your knowledge of healing is impressive," Eleanor said, genuinely interested. Morning Flower smiled. "My grandmother was medicine woman. She taught me." After a pause, she added, "Chief's mother was also healer. That is why he respects women with knowledge." "Tell me about the chief," Eleanor asked, trying to sound casual. Morning Flower's eyes sparkled knowingly. "Running Wolf was born during Great Storm. Elders said he would be powerful leader. His father was Great Chief, killed by soldiers when Running Wolf was 16 summers. He became chief at 20 winters, youngest ever." She paused. "He studied at White Man's School for 3 years. Knows your ways and ours." "He was educated in our schools?" Eleanor asked, surprised. "Christian missionaries took him. He learned much, then returned to lead our people. He believes we must understand white ways to survive, but never forget Comanche heart." This revelation shifted Eleanor's perception. Running Wolf wasn't just a fearsome warrior, but a man straddling 2 worlds, much like she felt caught between her old life and this strange new reality. That evening, Running Wolf called all 30 women to the council fire. The entire tribe gathered to witness his address. "You have been here 3 days," he began, his deep voice carrying across the silent crowd. "You see how we live. Some of you may still fear, some may hate, some may be curious." His eyes seemed to find Eleanor's in the crowd. "I did not bring you here by gentle means, and for that I cannot ask forgiveness. Our tribe faces extinction from white man's diseases and wars. I need a wife who understands both worlds, who is strong in body and spirit, to help lead our people through changing times." He paced before them, firelight dancing across his features. "In 27 days, I will choose one wife from among you. Those not chosen may return to your people with gifts and safe passage, or stay among us if you wish. Until then, learn our ways, ask questions, open your eyes and hearts." As days passed, a remarkable transformation occurred. The women, initially bound by their shared captivity, began to compete for Running Wolf's attention. They learned Comanche skills with enthusiasm, wore traditional dresses, and attempted to speak the language. Eleanor observed this with mixed feelings. She understood the attraction. Running Wolf was unlike any man she'd known, intelligent, thoughtful, and undeniably handsome, yet she couldn't forget how they'd arrived here. 2 weeks into their stay, Eleanor was grinding corn when Running Wolf approached. Her pulse quickened despite herself. "You work hard," he said, "but you do not seek my attention like others." Eleanor met his gaze. "I'm learning because knowledge has value, not to impress you." Rather than take offense, he smiled. "Honest words. Walk with me?" Surprised, Eleanor agreed. They strolled through the camp toward a small stream, aware of envious glances from both Comanche women and her fellow captives. "Why did you really bring us here?" she asked when they were alone. "There must have been less violent ways to find a wife." Running Wolf was silent for a moment. "My people are dying. White settlers bring disease, soldiers bring death, treaties bring lies. I need a wife who understands both worlds to help forge a new path." He looked at her intently. "Women from your towns are strong, healthy, and adaptable. They survive frontier hardships. Such strength is needed for Comanche future. But why take so many? To find the right one, the one with courage to speak truth even to a chief." His eyes held hers. "Like you." Eleanor felt her cheeks warm. "You barely know me. I watch. I listen. You help others. Speak wisely, work without complaint. Ask thoughtful questions about our ways." He picked up a stone and skipped it across the water. "But you still decide your own path. I respect this." As they walked back, Eleanor realized Running Wolf had given her something unexpected. A choice. Whether to embrace this new life or return to her old one would be her decision, not his. That night, as the women prepared for sleep, tension filled the lodge. Running Wolf's attention to Eleanor had not gone unnoticed. "Getting special treatment already," sneered Rebecca Harris, a banker's widow. "Don't get comfortable. Some of us actually want to be chosen." "I didn't ask for his attention," Eleanor replied calmly. "Well, you have it," Martha whispered later. "And honestly, Eleanor, would being chosen be so terrible? He's not what we expected." Eleanor lay awake long after the others slept, contemplating Martha's words. The life she had known was gone. Here, amidst people she'd been taught to fear, she'd found unexpected wisdom and community. And in Running Wolf, she'd glimpsed something rare. A leader with vision, trying to bridge two colliding worlds. The question haunting her was whether she could truly belong in either world anymore. The moon had waxed and waned, marking 3 weeks since the women of Willow Creek had been brought to the Comanche camp. What had begun as captivity had evolved into something far more complex. Rivalries had formed among the women, alliances had shifted, and attitudes toward their circumstances had transformed dramatically. Eleanor stood by the river, washing clothes alongside Martha and 2 other women. The repetitive task gave them time to talk. "Did you see how Rebecca practically threw herself at Running Wolf during the hunt yesterday?" whispered Judith Carter, a former schoolteacher. "Claiming she needed help carrying that measly rabbit she caught." Martha chuckled. "And Mary Beth has been having Singing Bird teach her Comanche love songs. I heard her practicing behind the lodge last night." "You're all acting as if this is some kind of courtship ritual rather than what it truly is," Eleanor said, wringing water from a dress. "We were taken from our homes." "And yet," said Catherine Porter, a quiet woman who rarely spoke, "many of us are happier here than we were there." When the others looked at her in surprise, she continued, "In Willow Creek, I was the lonely widow everyone pitied. Here I'm valued for my weaving skills. The Comanche women respect me." Eleanor couldn't deny the truth in Catherine's words. Many of the women had found purpose here that had eluded them in their previous lives. The Comanche valued strength, wisdom, and skill, qualities these frontier women possessed in abundance. "Besides," Martha added, giving Eleanor a knowing look, "you can't tell me you're immune to Running Wolf's attention. I've seen how you look at him when you think no one's watching." Eleanor felt her cheeks warm. "He's not what I expected." "None of this is," Judith said softly. "I taught my students that the Comanche were bloodthirsty savages. Now I see children learning their history, their crafts, their complex language. I was wrong, Eleanor. We all were." Their conversation was interrupted by shouts from the camp. They hurried back to find commotion at the central area. A group of warriors had returned from patrol, and from their urgent tones, something was wrong. Running Wolf stood at the center, listening to their report. His expression grew grave as he issued commands. Warriors began preparing weapons, while women gathered children closer to the lodges. Eleanor approached Singing Bird. "What's happening?" The older woman's face was tight with worry. "Soldiers. Many soldiers coming this way." Fear clutched at Eleanor's heart. "U.S. Army?" Singing Bird nodded. "They search for you women, or use you as excuse to attack us." Running Wolf spotted Eleanor and strode toward her. "Gather the women from your town, quickly." Within minutes, all 30 women were assembled. Some looked hopeful at the news of soldiers, others apprehensive. "A cavalry unit approaches," Running Wolf announced. "They claim to seek your return. I must decide whether to fight, flee, or negotiate." His eyes swept over them. "But first, I must know, who wishes to return to their people?" A heavy silence fell. The women exchanged glances, some confused, others resolute. Rebecca stepped forward first. "I wish to stay," she declared. "I've found respect here I never had in Willow Creek." One by one, others joined her. Martha, Catherine, even Judith. In the end, 23 women chose to remain. Only 7 expressed desire to return. Running Wolf nodded, betraying no emotion. "Those who wish to leave will be taken safely to meet the soldiers. Those who stay will be considered Comanche from this day forward, with all protections of our tribe." He turned to Eleanor, who had remained silent. "And you, Eleanor Bishop, what is your choice?" Every eye turned to her. Eleanor felt the weight of the moment, knowing her decision might influence others. "I need to speak with the soldiers," she said carefully. "Not to leave, but to prevent bloodshed. I know their commander, Colonel Harrison. He might listen to me." Running Wolf studied her face. "You would risk yourself to protect both sides?" "Yes," she said simply. A slow smile spread across his face. "Then we will try your way first." He addressed his warriors. "Prepare for all outcomes, but we seek peace if possible." Eleanor rode beside Running Wolf toward the rendezvous point, accompanied by those women choosing to return, and a small contingent of warriors. As they crested a hill, they saw the cavalry unit below, 60 men with rifles and cannons. Colonel Harrison rode forward with 2 soldiers when he spotted them. His weathered face registered shock when he recognized Eleanor. "Mrs. Bishop, thank God you're alive. We've been searching for weeks." "Colonel," Eleanor acknowledged. "I've come to prevent unnecessary conflict." The colonel's eyes narrowed as he noted her unbound state and traditional Comanche dress. "Are you here of your own free will?" "I am now," she replied steadily, "as are many others. 7 women wish to return with you. The rest have chosen to stay." "Chosen," Harrison scoffed. "Stockholm's delusion. These savages kidnapped you." Running Wolf stiffened beside her but remained silent, letting Eleanor speak. "It began that way," she admitted. "But what we found was not what we expected. These people are fighting for survival in a changing world. Many of us have found purpose here." "Purpose?" Harrison looked incredulous. "As concubines for this, as respected members of a community," Eleanor interrupted firmly. "The women who wish to return will go with you. The rest stay under my protection as mediator." "And what makes you think I won't just take all of you back by force?" Harrison's hand moved to his pistol. Running Wolf finally spoke. "Because you are outnumbered," Harrison laughed. "I count barely 20 warriors with you." "Look to the ridges, Colonel," Eleanor said quietly. Harrison glanced up. The surrounding hills were lined with Comanche warriors, at least 100, all armed and mounted. "We did not bring our full strength to this meeting," Running Wolf said, "as gesture of peace, but we will defend our people, all our people." The colonel's face reddened, but he was a practical man. "The women who wish to return come with us now. The rest," he fixed Eleanor with a hard stare, "the rest have made their choice. But know this, once you choose to stay among them, you'll be considered Comanche. The army won't distinguish you from them in any future encounters." "I understand," Eleanor said. The 7 women moved toward the soldiers while Eleanor remained with Running Wolf. As Colonel Harrison prepared to depart, he called to her. "Mrs. Bishop, your husband died fighting to protect settlements from these very people. What would he think of your choice?" Eleanor felt Running Wolf tense beside her, but kept her gaze steady on Harrison. "He would think I was finally living according to my own truth, Colonel, not someone else's fears." As the cavalry departed with the 7 women, Eleanor felt a strange mix of emotions, relief, uncertainty, and an unexpected sense of liberation. That night, the remaining 23 women were formally welcomed into the tribe in a ceremony around the great council fire. Each received a Comanche name and was adopted into a family group. When Eleanor's turn came, Running Wolf himself stepped forward. "From this day you will be known as Braveheart," he announced, "for you showed courage to stand between two worlds." As the celebration continued into the night, Eleanor found herself sitting slightly apart, watching the dancing and singing. Running Wolf joined her, offering a cup of water. "Tomorrow I must still choose a wife," he said quietly. "The time of testing is complete." Eleanor nodded, suddenly unable to meet his eyes. "And have you decided?" "I believe I have," he replied, his gaze unwavering. "But tonight is for celebration. Tomorrow brings new beginnings." As he returned to his duties as chief, Eleanor watched him move through the crowd, greeting his people, now including 23 women from a world that had once been hers. She realized that regardless of his choice tomorrow, her life had irrevocably changed. She had found her voice standing between two cultures, and perhaps that was where she truly belonged. Morning arrived with a sense of anticipation that hummed through the Comanche camp like electricity before a storm. Today, Running Wolf would choose his wife from among the remaining women. The selection would not only determine his future, but would influence the tribe's direction in the changing frontier world. Eleanor woke early, her mind churning with thoughts of the upcoming ceremony. She slipped out of the women's lodge seeking solitude by the river. The sun had barely crested the horizon, painting the water with streaks of gold and crimson. "You rise with the sun," came a familiar voice. Eleanor turned to find Running Wolf standing several paces away, his tall figure silhouetted against the dawning light. "I needed to think," she admitted. He nodded, approaching to stand beside her. "As did I. Today's choice weighs heavily." "The women have been preparing since dawn yesterday," Eleanor said. Rebecca spent hours having her hair braided in the Comanche style. Martha collected wildflowers to adorn her dress. Running Wolf smiled slightly. "And you? What preparations have you made?" Eleanor met his gaze. "None. I am as you see me." His dark eyes studied her face. "Always honest. This is rare." "Not among the Comanche, from what I've observed," she replied. "Your people value truth-speaking." "My people," he repeated thoughtfully. "You begin to see them as such?" Eleanor considered the question carefully. "I've come to respect them, to understand their ways. But I stand between worlds, Running Wolf. Perhaps I always will." He nodded slowly. "This is why—" He stopped himself. "The ceremony begins at midday. Until then." With a slight bow of his head, he departed, leaving Eleanor with more questions than answers. By midday, the entire tribe had gathered in the central clearing. A great circle had been formed, with Running Wolf seated on an elevated platform draped with painted buffalo hides. The elders and respected warriors flanked him, while the rest of the tribe formed the circle's perimeter. The 23 women from Willow Creek were led in by Singing Bird, each adorned in her finest attire. Some had fully embraced Comanche dress, while others wore modified versions of their settler clothing, creating unique blends of both cultures. Eleanor wore a simple buckskin dress gifted by Morning Flower, with her own locket containing a small portrait of her parents, a bridge between her past and present. Singing Bird directed the women to form a semicircle before Running Wolf. The atmosphere was tense with anticipation. Some women fidgeted nervously, while others stood tall with hopeful expressions. Running Wolf rose, his powerful presence commanding attention without effort. He wore ceremonial attire, a magnificent headdress, breastplate of polished bones, and leggings adorned with intricate beadwork. "Many moons ago," he began, his voice carrying across the hushed gathering, "I made a decision born of desperation. Our tribe faced dwindling numbers, increasing threats, and an uncertain future. I sought a wife who would bring new strength to our people." He paced slowly before the assembled women. "I did not expect to find not one, but many women of courage and wisdom. Each of you has shown qualities worthy of respect. Each has learned our ways with open hearts." His eyes moved from face to face. "Some have mastered our crafts." He nodded to Catherine, whose weaving had already become prized among the tribe. "Some have shown warrior spirits." A glance toward Rebecca, who had distinguished herself during hunting parties. "Some have brought healing knowledge," acknowledging Judith, who had combined her scientific understanding with Comanche medicine to treat several illnesses. Finally, his gaze settled on Eleanor. "And some have shown the rarest quality of all, the courage to stand between worlds, to speak truth to both sides, to seek understanding where others find only differences. Eleanor felt the weight of his gaze and the eyes of every person in the circle upon her. A chief's wife must be strong in body and spirit, Running Wolf continued. She must understand both the old ways and the new world that presses upon us. She must have the respect of our people and the wisdom to help lead them through changing times. He returned to his platform and took up an intricately carved staff topped with eagle feathers. I have made my choice, he announced. A collective intake of breath swept through the assembly. Eleanor found herself holding her own breath, her heart racing despite her attempts at composure. Running Wolf descended from the platform and moved deliberately through the semicircle of women. He stopped before Eleanor, extending the ceremonial staff toward her. "Braveheart," he said, using her Comanche name, "I choose you to walk beside me as my wife, and as voice of our people in times of change." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. While many had suspected his choice, seeing it confirmed brought various reactions. Most nodded in approval, though Eleanor noticed flashes of disappointment on several faces. Tradition dictated that she take the staff if she accepted. Eleanor looked into Running Wolf's eyes, seeing not just the powerful chief but the man. Complex, intelligent, caught between preservation of his people's ways and adaptation to inevitable change. "Before I accept," she said clearly, "I must speak my truth." Surprise flickered across his face, but he nodded for her to continue. "I stand before you as Braveheart and as Eleanor Bishop. Both are true. If I am to be your wife, it must be with the understanding that I will always honor both parts of myself. I will respect Comanche ways and help protect them, but I will also bring knowledge from my world that may help our people survive." She took a breath, aware of the boldness of addressing the chief this way before the entire tribe. "And I will speak my mind, even when we disagree. A chief needs not just a wife, but a true partner." Silence fell over the gathering. Many looked to Running Wolf, wondering how he would respond to such unprecedented conditions. Slowly, a smile spread across his face. "This is why I chose you," he said. "You speak with a straight tongue and a strong heart. I seek not a silent shadow, but a bright fire beside me. Do you accept?" Eleanor reached out and took the staff. "I accept." A great cheer erupted from the crowd. Singing Bird came forward with a special wedding blanket, which she draped around both Eleanor and Running Wolf, binding them symbolically together. The celebration that followed lasted well into the night. There was dancing, feasting, storytelling, and gifts presented to the newly joined couple. The other women from Willow Creek, after initial disappointment for some, came to congratulate Eleanor sincerely. "I knew it would be you," Martha whispered, embracing her friend. "You were always meant for something extraordinary." As the festivities continued, Running Wolf led Eleanor to a quiet spot overlooking the camp. In the distance, the vast prairie stretched under moonlight, wild and beautiful. "Are you satisfied with your choice?" Eleanor asked him. "I am," he said simply. "And you, do you regret staying?" Eleanor considered the question seriously. "No," she finally said. "My life in Willow Creek ended when Thomas died. I was existing, not living. Here I've found purpose." Running Wolf took her hand, his touch gentle despite his strength. "Our path will not be easy. The world changes quickly. The army, the settlers, they will continue to press upon our lands. Then we will face it together," Eleanor said. "Finding a way for your people, our people, to maintain their spirit while adapting to survive. This is my hope," he acknowledged. "That together we can forge a future where Comanche ways endure, even as we learn to walk in the new world." Below them, the celebration continued. Comanche warriors and former settler women dancing together, sharing food and laughter, creating something unprecedented on the frontier. It was a small beginning, a fragile bridge between worlds, but it represented hope. In the coming years, Eleanor and Running Wolf would face many challenges: pressure from the army, suspicion from other tribes, and the relentless advance of Western expansion. Yet through diplomacy, adaptation, and unwavering commitment to preserving essential Comanche traditions, they would guide their people through the transition. Eleanor became known among both settlers and native tribes as a fair mediator, while Running Wolf's leadership ensured his people maintained their dignity and as much autonomy as possible in changing times. The women of Willow Creek who chose to remain found their places in the tribe. Martha became a respected healer, combining her knowledge of herbs with Comanche medicine. Rebecca, with her fiery spirit, trained younger women in both defense and hunting. Judith established a system to preserve Comanche stories and language in written form, ensuring they would never be lost. What had begun as captivity transformed into a new beginning, not just for 30 women and a Comanche chief, but for two cultures finding ways to coexist rather than destroy each other. As Eleanor stood beside Running Wolf watching the celebration of their union, she realized that sometimes the most unexpected journeys lead to the truest destinations. She had found her place standing between worlds, helping to build bridges rather than walls, and in doing so had finally found home.